With no charges to be brought against her, Hillary Clinton was on Air Force One. President Obama campaigning with her in North Carolina. So that's a state that Obama won in 2008 and then lost in 2012. Questions of influence between this and, of course, former President Bill Clinton's on-board meeting with U.S. Attorney General Loretta Lynch. For their take, my political panel is here. Democratic strategist Jessica Tarlov, Republican communications strategist Lee Carter, Daily Caller executive editor Vince Coglianese. Thank you very much for joining me. Glad to have you all here. Jessica, what is your take? No charges, which should be a win, of course, for Hillary Clinton, but there is this idea of nefarious influence even flying on Air Force One with President Obama.
I'm a Hillary supporter. Obviously, I'm excited that it doesn't look like she's going to jail. But I thought that this was a really bad day for the Hillary Clinton campaign and for democracy in general. It's like a big pile of goop or something hanging over the whole operation. And I don't know, they have some of the best consultants out there. Whoever said that it would be all right to have, a split screen of James Comey and her boarding Air Force One at the same time needs to seek new employment.
It's bad optics at the very least, Lee. And even if people make the distinction, even if Democrats make the distinction, or people who want to support the Clintons, between a meeting with former President Bill Clinton and U.S. AG Loretta Lynch, which many Democrats said was absolutely outrageous, and the campaign today, to do it so close together seems like a lack of judgment.
I think it demonstrates they're completely out of touch. And there's something about this whole Clinton idea that they're above the law, that they are, and in many ways it just adds the idea that this is backroom politics, that you're in the pockets of each other. And I think that, this whole idea that there's a Clinton clause that prevents her from having the same rules that apply to everybody else is just preposterous, given all of the symbology around it.
So, Vincent, is this one of these cases where Hillary Clinton arguably got a big break today, but yet voters probably don't trust her any more than they did a week ago?
Well, her honest and trustworthy numbers are abysmal, and that's against Donald Trump, who's got basically twice the numbers in the latest polling. And this is not going to help her. I mean, James Comey spent approximately 15 minutes essentially eviscerating her honesty and her integrity, and then saying that the FBI does not recommend pursuing charges. And this is under the pressure for a guy whose bosses, whose direct superiors, Loretta Lynch and Barack Obama, did him no favors when it came to showing that he was impartial with the way that he was going to carry out
Vince, I want to stop you, because what do you make of that? The fact that Comey laid out all the reasons why normally she should be indicted, and then said, well, no reasonable prosecutor would bring a case.
Well, I think there's, first of all, a lot of suspicion about that. The basis by which he said that was there's not a lot of precedent for somebody being charged in these circumstances. But I don't know that there's a lot of precedent for somebody behaving in the way that Hillary Clinton did in the first place. I mean, she acted as Secretary of State, as head of one of the most powerful agencies in the country, created multiple servers and exposed her data to real inherent risk, in the words of James Comey, or by his assessment, rather. And I think that it seems to me that the case is without precedent. So it's difficult for me to swallow that couldn't move forward, at least to the Justice Department considering charges.
All right. And Jessica, of course, using some of these devices in places where we have a lot of hostility towards us.
Absolutely. I thought that was actually one of the most important things that he said, which is we have no evidence that foreign governments hacked her server, that we do know they did hack government servers, by the way, but we wouldn't know if they did. And Lee and I were talking in the hallway about this, and I think what's really critical here, certainly moving forward, is, Clintons like to say it's all vast right-wing conspiracy. So they really need to stop doing things that could possibly feed these conspiracy theories. And I think it needs to start now. And the AG meeting on Bill Clinton's plane is very, very different than what happened today. There is nothing nefarious about this. I think it's just really bad optics, and it's a bad choice.
Although,
and the timing.
Yeah, of course, the whole puzzle, but I think they're very separate issues.
Lee, last word to you.
Well, I just think that the fact that he's on the plane 4 or 5 days before this comes out just makes it seem like they had to have known what was coming. I think that there's a huge optic issue.
But not that they discussed it, not that he went on there to pressure her. That's a very serious allegation.
It is a very serious allegation, but I'm not going to say what really happened. It's rather what people hear when they see that happening. And people hear that there's corruption, that there's something not right.
Which is why her numbers won't change, as Vince said, and I agree with that.
They have a very rough 30-year track record as far as being trustworthy. We have to leave it there. Lee, Jessica, Vince, thank you as always. Glad you are all here.